I want to thank you guys for the incredible positive feedback we're getting for these videos. And also just say thanks for all the questions we're getting, because we're compiling a list of videos that we're going to be releasing in the next couple months on all the different questions that you guys have. So keep the questions coming, keep the positive comments coming, keep the critiques coming. If you've got something that you think we can benefit from, we're all ears. And also, guys, if you feel like you benefited from watching one of these videos, do us a favor and do the people that you know a favor and share it. This is good information, and it's hard to find good information on testosterone and growth hormone and erectile dysfunction out there. There's so much bro science that's getting guys in a lot of trouble. Do us a favor, share this information. Again, YouTube, Facebook, blogs, where we're at. Like, we're all over the place, so just share this stuff. I promise you, if you find benefit in it, some of your friends or colleagues or family members will as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about how to choose a platform. And when I say a platform, I'm talking about shots, pellets, creams, injections. Like, what do you need to consider when choosing a platform, and what you need to know before making those choices. Know this, a lot of times doctors have a platform pre-chosen for you simply because of the simplicity of implementing that operation in their clinic. If you get a good sales rep coming in and goes, hey, we've got all these pellets, all you got to do is send us this one email, the pellets will be there the next day. They're like, oh, cool, that's awesome, that's easy. That's why we're going to use this. Other guys like the creams because of some operational issues that simplify things. Keep that in mind, all right? But today we're going to typically talk about the physiologic impact of what platform that you choose, okay? I'm going to start talking about the creams. And so another thing about this, if you're a practitioner watching this and you have a platform that you like the best, that doesn't agree with what we're about to say, don't flame us, all right? That's great for you, okay? This is our way of doing it, and we'll explain why. We'll give you our reasoning. But, just because you have a different opinion, that's cool. We don't have to argue about it. So with that being said, we like the cypionate injections. That's by far, from a physiologic perspective and an operational perspective, as far as just managing the day-to-day application of your protocol, I like those the best. And so the reason we don't like creams is there's a few issues. There's contact issues. If you have a wife, if you have a little girl, like, you don't want to give them a goatee, and I cannot tell you how many people have come into our clinic for consultations. They're on Androgel or Axiron or one of those. They're on some kind of a cream or a gel, and they're not doing it the way they're supposed to be doing it. I mean, these creams come with very specific instructions. They got to let it dry for 10 minutes. Don't get in the bed with it. But these guys are just like, yeah, I take my shower at night, I put my cream on, and get in bed with my wife. And I'm like, man, listen to what you just said. And it happens a lot. Okay, so if you're doing that right now, please don't do it that way. Do it in the mornings. Let it dry. Even if you do everything right and follow the directions, there are some issues. Absorbability changes, like with your diet, with your hydration. If you change laundry detergent, if it's cold outside versus hot outside, you're going to take different amounts up based on some of those variables. And also, this stuff's all in and all out in about a 24-hour period. So there's no reservoir, and that means, like, right before you right before you apply your cream or your gel every day, you're basically back to zero. And God forbid you go out of town for a week and leave it, right? Or you go out of town for a weekend or something, or you're on a business trip and you leave it in the hotel. I mean, we get these kind of calls every day, all day, from guys on our plan. It's different when it's cypionate. When it's the cream and you're out, you're out. Like, you don't have any in your system supporting you physiologically over the next couple of days until you get more cream. And so another thing is DHT conversion is higher using a topical solution than an injectable solution. All right, so those are the reasons why we don't like creams. We use creams for patients that absolutely cannot inject themselves. All right, excuse me. For patients that can't inject themselves at all, it works, because it's better to use the cream and take on those complications than not be on a program at all, or be on a program where you're just not compliant because you just can't stand the stress of the shot. All right. The next thing I want to talk about are pellets. Pellets, absolute no-go for us, because pellets rise in your system hard up front. All the manufacturers they'll produce these pretty little marketing brochures that say, yeah, you flatline for about 3 months, and then it drops off, and you go get some more, and you flatline for about 3 months. It's not the case. these things come in high and hard and hot early. Your testosterone scores go way above optimal, which means you're converting DHT and estrogen at high rates, okay? And then, you know, you drop back down, you'll hit the optimal level for a while, but it's a pretty steep drop on the backside of these. And then you have to wait until it all dissipates out and you're back to zero. And that last month on pellets is brutal because you're way suboptimal. You know, so the first month you're way high, it's causing complications. The second month you're going to be somewhere around your optimal level, hopefully, and we'll talk about that more in a second. And then the third month you're way below optimal. Well, optimal is a very relative term, right? Some guys, we get them up to, they'll come in super low and we get them to 450 and they're like, man, I am the Incredible Hulk now. I'm back. I'm the dad I want to be. I'm the husband I want to be. I've got energy. I've got libido. I've got muscle now. And they love it. And other guys, I mean, get to 450 and they can't get out of bed. You know what I mean? They have to go to 650 or 850 or 1,000. You know, so we all have a different optimal level. Well, the pellets don't allow for that configurability or that personal tailoring of the program because the dosage is simply calculated by body weight and BMI. Seriously. They don't care if you need to be at 450 or 600 or 1,000. And the problem is with the pellets, you're going to be at all of them for, you know, short amounts of time. You're going to be up above 1,500 most of the time. Most of the guys that are on pellet programs that come in with us within a month or so of starting the pellet program, and we've just been testing this, they're way above 1,500, okay? So you can't hit that optimal, like this is my homeostatic saturation point where I feel good every day because you're just riding that roller coaster all the time. So that's why we don't like the pellets. And the patches are just a joke. Don't use the patches. They leave burn marks. You don't know how much you're getting. A lot of the burn marks actually last longer than the applicator or the applicated duration. So you leave it on for 2 days, take it off, put another one on for 2 days. This burn mark lasts for 5 days. You take this one off, this burn mark lasts for 5 days, but after 2 days you got to do another one. So you end up looking like you got the worst case of like, you know, jungle chicken pox that's ever been had. So don't use the patches. Use one of the other 3 platforms. Now, I do have a couple guys that are deployable assets for the government, and they're instantly deployable, right? They're on pellets because they can't worry about carrying creams with them. They sure as heck can't worry about carrying needles and injectables with them when, you know, when the bat phone goes off and they just have to hit the door in 30 minutes and be in another country in a few hours. All right, so there are lifestyle considerations to, you know, to take into account, but typically it's not going to be the case. Another thing I want to talk about with the cypionate. Here's a chart, by the way, that I just drew. It's crude, you know, forgive the crudeness of it, but I just wanted to get something out today. This big dark line, that's a pellet. This green range right here is your optimal range. It might be 450 to 600. This might be 800 to 1,000. I don't know. But you have an optimal range for you, and it's going to be different than the guy beside you. Pellets overshoot it, drop you back down into the optimal range for a while, and then again for like the last month, you're just dying. You're suboptimal. They're not going to put new pellets in you when you're still within that window of the previous pellet application. So you just have to suffer through that last month. All right. So up here, extra high DHT and estrogen conversion. Down here, you feel like doo-doo. Neither one of those are good. Okay. These 2 different jagged lines talk about the rise and fall of cypionate. Now, cypionate has a 7-day half-life, which means at 7 days, if I injected myself last Wednesday, and let's say today's Wednesday, I still have 50% of that shot in my body, okay? So inject here, I get up to here, a week later, I'm halfway down. But then I inject again, but I fall halfway down. I inject again. So the way it works, let's say it's Wednesday, and I give myself a shot. I have 100% of that shot, but then I have 50% of last week's, 25% of the week before, 12 and 6 and 3 from the 3 weeks before that. So even without injecting myself, I'm carrying around about a full shot's worth of testosterone. So you can see, like at this point right here, for instance, half of last week, half the week before, half the week before, and pretty soon you baseline. Now this allows for configurability, right? If your green zone is up here, right, and we only get you here at first, what's the solution? Increase the dose, right? The potency. It's going to get you higher and higher. All right, so whatever this spike is, is based on the dose. The 50% fallout is based on the fact that it's cypionate. So I don't care if it spikes you all the way up here, you're going to lose 50% of it in a week, and boom, the other spike's going to push you up 100 units, and you're going to drop 50 units. But again, after 4, 5, 6 weeks, they baseline. They flatline. So a lot of people say, how often should I take my shots? Should I do it every 7 days? Because my doctor has me on 14 days, and I see a lot of guys these days doing every 3.5 days. Okay, this is what happens when you do the 14 days. I hope you guys can see this. At 14 days, you go up, boom, man, I feel great. And then after 7 days, I've lost half of it. But then after another 7 days, you lost another 50% of what was left. So basically, you're down to 20, 25%. And then you push yourself up, and then it falls down. So you can see the trend on that is moving up. It just takes forever to get to a good baseline because you're losing 75, 80% of that shot before you add on top of it the next week, or the next 2 weeks, excuse me. So this is why I don't like the every 2-week injection. Cypionate is not meant to be injected every 2 weeks. It's meant to be injected every week. And the every 3.5 days, some guys say, man, I can feel it that 5th and 6th, 7th day that I'm not at an optimal level. All right, well, my point to that is, now look, if you're taking shots every 3.5 days, it doubles your, the amount of shots you have to take, but it also doubles the chances that you're not going to be compliant that week. You know what I mean? So if life gets a hold of you, your kids have this, your wife has that, you're going out of town, work has you doing this, and you miss that shot, now you only have half of the shot for that week, right? And it's hard to catch up and rebalance, and it gets a little wonky. Do I take 2 shots back to back? Do I just skip it? So the increased complication is something I don't love. But what I tell people is if you feel good for the first half of the shot, and then you feel bad, and then you feel good, and then you feel bad, and then you feel good on the 7-week intervals, so whenever you increase the frequency, you don't increase the overall baseline level of the testosterone, you just decrease the troughs, right, and the valleys, or the peaks and the valleys. So instead, let's say a guy's above, below. Well, if he decreases the frequency, if you will, of the rise and fall of his testosterone, he's still at the bottom of his optimal level. The reason he's not feeling good is he's dropping out of his optimal level. The solution for that is not to increase the frequency of the shots, it's to give yourself a little bit more testosterone. Talk to your doctor about giving yourself a little bit more testosterone because you're not quite fully in that green zone. You can see here, if this green zone was lifted up about an inch, this guy would be dropping out of the bottom every week. All right? Again, the solution is not to take the shots more frequently. The solution is to increase your dose a little bit to keep the entire peak and the entire trough in an optimal level where you're feeling good. All right? So I hope this helps, guys. If you have any questions, man, hit me up. My email address is brandon@lowtnation. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. Again, share this, please. That's why we're putting it out there. We want to help educate men on how to take care of themselves, especially men currently on programs. Because I'll be honest with you, having low testosterone is dangerous, right? It causes heart disease, cancer, diabetes. It causes osteoporosis, metabolic syndrome. It messes everything up, and it actually exacerbates all the diseases that kill men, the most. Now, with that being said, I don't think that's as dangerous as being on some of these programs that doctors have guys on. They have them all over the place, estrogen all over the place, DHT all over the place, testosterone levels all over the place. It's almost more dangerous to be on a program with an uninformed doctor, so this is why we're putting it out there, guys. If your doctor would like to ask us questions, have him reach out to me. You can call us. The website has all our contact information. It's lowtnation.com. We're more than happy to help. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.